Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Now, here's what I want to talk about. The future of cryptocurrencies. Looking past the next 2 years. What is it that could actually pose a threat to Bitcoin that the governments could actually do? Believe me, they have sat around and they've talked over everything. Ways to get rid of Bitcoin, and nothing's ever worked. You can't. You'd have to basically get rid of the internet to get rid of Bitcoin, and you got to understand that these digital assets are, even though they're a new asset class, they're absorbing real wealth, real labor, just like the fiat currencies at one time absorbed all of the dollar in particular, absorbed all of your labor, all of your land, everything is priced in dollars. The fiat currencies now are threatened by this new asset class. And believe me, they're taking it very seriously. How are they going to fight against it? What do they got in their arsenal? Well, they are moving towards something, and eventually I see that there is only one direction that they can really move to actually fight against cryptocurrencies. Fiat currencies are in the process of dying. Fiat meaning a currency that only holds its value by decree, like the dollar. Well, actually, the dollar wasn't strictly a fiat currency. It's only become a fiat currency just in the last maybe year. A true fiat currency. And because all the other fiat currencies are pegged to the dollar, this is a very important matter. We see the erosion of the petrodollar. When the petrodollar, which is the United States dollar, was called the petrodollar, it was called that because that's what it was. It was loosely tied to petrol or oil. Loosely, a loose peg to oil. And how that loose peg worked was you could only purchase oil with US dollars. But now that's being eroded. And so all these currencies are actually floating free now. Ever since 1971, when Nixon took us off the gold standard, the dollar was basically, that's when it became the petrodollar, and it was loosely tied to oil all these years. But now that peg is being broken, and so the dollar is now really a fiat currency. And fiat currencies always go to their actual intrinsic value, which is zero. And so with Bitcoin rushing up and the dollar rushing down, what are they going to do? Well, I think the answer is coming. The answer is coming, how they're going to fight Bitcoin. And in fact, this is going to be a viable threat to Bitcoin in the future. So we're looking into the future, maybe 2 or 3 years from now. What could potentially be a competitor? Something that can be a competitor to Bitcoin. So let's look. Let's get started. Where's my charts? Let's open up the charts right here. And let's take a look at what's going on and see what could be a potential threat to Bitcoin in the future. This is what's starting. Russia's leading the way. Is a gold-backed cryptocurrency headed to Russia. And this article says the Central Bank of Russia is reportedly considering the creation of a gold-backed cryptocurrency. And of course, this is the Central Bank of Russia. They have a lot of gold. Believe me, it's underreported how much gold Russia has. Russia probably has in excess of 20,000 tons of gold. It says the news comes directly from the governor of the Bank of Russia, Ivira Nebula, who believes that it could have benefits in the settling of international settlements. She revealed this earlier today whilst addressing the State Duma, the lower house of the Russian government. She explained that the bank will review a proposal that could see the development of a cryptocurrency in the country, which would be backed by gold. Speaking, she said, for mutual settlements, we will consider a gold-backed cryptocurrency, but in my opinion, it is more important to develop settlements in national currencies. Well, they're trying to play it down a little bit. But the fact is that they are the Central Bank of Russia is considering creating a cryptocurrency that's backed by gold. Now, why is this important? I'm going to tell you guys exactly why this is important. Ideas do not come out of a vacuum. This is an idea that's been floating around for a little bit, but this actually is the answer. This is how they can actually fight the rise of Bitcoin. This is potentially a way that going back to a gold standard. Basically, this is going back to a gold standard. If one country leads the way, like Russia, next thing you know, you'll see a cryptocurrency backed by gold in China. The next thing you know, you'll see a cryptocurrency backed by gold in the United States, and in Canada, and in Australia, and in the United Kingdom, and in Germany. You'll see them pop up. And what they'll do is they'll start to trade back and forth, and they'll use these for trade, while we, the people, have to endure the hyperinflating fiat currencies. So this is basically a transition that the governments are going to probably start to make, where they use the good stuff, the gold-backed cryptocurrency, for their transactions, and they make all us, the people, use a hyperinflating fiat currency for our transactions. So basically, we starve, and they have gravy dripping down their chin. They add 20 pounds onto themselves. Most of them are already fat. Most of them are eating from the fat of the land, while the people starve. So this is basically the idea, is to create a second tier or a second level of currency that's cryptographic and backed by gold, while the original currencies stay in place and hyperinflate. And of course, you've all seen what hyperinflation has done to the country of Venezuela. Complete and total utter poverty is what hyperinflation leads to for the people, because wages do not keep up with consumer inflation during a hyperinflation. They'll increase your wages, but the consumer inflation goes much higher, faster than your wages, and what you find is any money that you have in the bank that you might have stored away for yourself becomes basically worthless. So where does that leave you? Your job, basically with rising prices every day, daily rising prices, and your wages are not keeping up, what you find yourself is in a situation where you can either pay your rent this month and buy food and buy electricity, and you got your telephone bills, and you've got your credit card bills, and you've got your car payments, right? All of a sudden you find that you're not meeting all of these payment obligations. And then the government comes after you for income tax on top of that. And you find yourself stretched in one direction or the other. What payment am I going to make this month? I can't make them all. I can't meet all of my payment obligations and feed myself. And you find that the whole country gets in this state of affairs. Meanwhile, on the next level up in government, they're using the new gold-backed cryptocurrency, and they're riding around in a limousine. They got the best suspension in the world in the limousine, sitting in the back of their limousine in quiet comfort. And their driver, if he goes over a pothole, they don't even feel it, because they got the best shocks and best springs in the world. But what are we riding in? The people. What are we riding in? Well, we're riding in our old car, and the shocks are gone, and the springs are broken from the potholes that they didn't fix with the money that they collected for the potholes that they never fixed. They never allocated that money. What they said they were going to allocate it for was to fix the potholes. They don't fix them. So our springs are broken. And we're riding around and the muffler's hanging down off of our car, and we're going putting down, trying to get it started because it needs a new battery. But heck, we had to use that money this month to pay taxes with. So we can't buy a new battery, and we got to jumpstart our car to try to get to work. This is the situation that we're in while they're living in the life of luxury with their new cryptographic currency that's pegged to gold. This is where we're going with all this. Russia's the first country leading the way. Watch how quick these other countries can hop on board once Russia gets their new cryptographic currency backed by gold established. This is the sick kind of world we're living in. Now, cryptocurrencies have the potential to change the world. And do I think that this is actually going to stop Bitcoin? No. No, this is not going to stop Bitcoin. But what it could do, it could slow down its process a little bit. It could slow down its forward momentum slightly if all the countries moved to cryptographic currencies that are backed by gold. But ultimately, in the end, I think you're going to find that Bitcoin is even going to win out against these cryptocurrencies that are backed by gold. Gold is not an ancient barbaric relic. Gold in the future, a few years from now, is going to move up in its position of value in the world. Much, much higher, much, much greater than it is now. Cryptocurrencies are taking off first. Gold's going to take off later. But what's going to die, and what's in the process of dying, but it's a long process, it takes a long time, is the fiat currencies. And so what you have to do is you have to move with the times. If you're old and you're stuck in the mud, and you say, well, I'm just going to leave my dollars in the bank, and whatever happens, happens. I know I've got a certain amount of money put away for retirement. Well, guess what? The bankers right now, the crooks that they are draining out these retirement accounts, investing the money in places that is very, very risky, the highest risk assets that they can buy. And as the system crumbles and collapses, you're gonna find that all these retirement accounts are suddenly left as a vacuum, and your money is gone. Sure, you can go into the bank right now and you can get them to give you a write-up of how much money you got in your retirement account, but just remember something. All that is numbers printed by a computer. And they can print any number in there they want to print in there. But they'll print the amount that you're supposed to have in your account. But just remember, that's just ink on paper. If we go into a hyperinflation, what's those dollars going to be worth in the end? Absolutely nothing. And if you invest in asset classes right now that you should be investing in, then maybe your retirement will be a little bit brighter in the future rather than having it all, basically they're going to default on your retirement is what I'm basically trying to tell you guys. If they don't default by outright default, they're going to hyperinflate it away on you anyway. So what direction should people be moving now? They should be moving out of the dollar and into places like cryptocurrency, gold, and silver. And not, when you buy gold and silver, make sure you take it into possession, because possession is 9 points of the law. If you have it in your possession, your gold and silver, it's 9 points of the law. You've got it. It's yours. And this is the direction people should be moving in, instead of putting all their trust in the dollar and in these fiat currencies. Because these bankers, you see this move they're making right now? They're moving out of fiat. And they're moving into a cryptocurrency backed by gold. How much, even though they're going to keep the ruble, it says it's extremely unlikely to take a takeover from the rupee, though. The plans for the gold-backed cryptocurrency being centered on international settlements, emphasizing we do not see the possibility that cryptos could act as a monetary surrogate. Definitely not in this part. But, well, you know what? As soon as they create this is acting as a monetary surrogate. That's exactly what it's doing. It's going to, all the value is going to go into it. And this is what's going to happen in all these nation states who adopt a cryptocurrency backed by gold, and they're going to. This is the direction. Russia's moving. They'll all move in the same direction eventually, maybe within the next 2 or 3 years. What do you think's going to happen? This is going to reinforce the death of the fiat currencies by hyperinflation. What it's going to do is it's going to make a separation between one currency that is worth something, the cryptocurrency backed by gold, and it's going to show up the fiat currencies as being backed by nothing at all, and they're going to lose value while the digital assets backed by gold will go up in value. And the whole thing is just It's just leading one direction. Hyperinflation. Listen, thank you guys for listening. Like and subscribe, and we will catch you guys in the next show. Bye-bye.